Shirilla was 17 when she crashed her car, killing her boyfriend and their friend. In a 3 News Investigates exclusive, her parents insist it was an accident and not murder. They're now sharing details of Mackenzie's life in prison and fighting to clear her name, even as prosecutors stand by the evidence that put her behind bars.
Show me one piece of evidence, one, that says she did this on purpose. Show it to me. Here it is. That's it. Then she's right where she belongs and she's guilty of it, but there isn't any.
It was the kind of summer night that felt like a beginning. June 2022, Strongsville, Ohio. 3 teenagers fresh out of high school, celebrating the kind of freedom that only comes once in a lifetime. The night was winding down. Everyone needed to get home safely. Mackenzie Shirilla was behind the wheel. Her boyfriend of 3 years trusted her. His friend trusted her. That trust would cost them everything. What surveillance cameras captured in the early hours of that morning was not a teenager losing control. According to court evidence, the car reached 100 miles per hour before striking a building with full force. Dominic, Russo, and Davon Flanigan were killed at the scene. Mackenzie survived.
I wish I could remember what happened. I'm just so sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Davon and Davon. We were all friends and Dom was my soulmate.
She called it a tragic accident. She said she remembered nothing. She posted grief messages on her boyfriend's obituary page and the community mourned alongside her. But then came October 31st, exactly 3 months after the crash. Mackenzie Shirilla stepped out for Halloween, dressed as a corpse. The same girl who said she was broken, heartbroken, lost. So here is the question this entire case rests on. Was this a grieving teenager trying to survive the worst moment of her life? Or was this exactly who she had always been? This is the case of Mackenzie Shirilla, and if you think you already know the answer, stay with me. Because the details investigators uncovered changed everything. Strongsville, Ohio is the kind of town where everybody knows everybody, where graduation night still means something, where parents stand on porches and watch their children grow into people they're proud of. In the summer of 2022, 2 families in this town had every reason to be proud. Dominic Russo was 19 years old, one of 8 children, raised in a household full of noise, competition, and love. People who knew him described a young man who was always building something, always moving forward. He was already laying the groundwork for his own clothing line. Basketball was his outlet. His mother was his lifeline, the kind of son who called home when things got difficult, and things would get very difficult.
He could pick up any sport and be good at it from the start. So he was mainly focused on football. That was his passion.
Football was Davon's first dream. When injury took that from him, he didn't collapse. He pivoted. He taught himself barbering from YouTube and TikTok tutorials. He had recently submitted his application to the All-State Barber College. A boy who had already survived so much was finally building the life he deserved. Both Dominic and Davon had futures mapped out ahead of them, and both of them trusted the same person to drive them home that night.
I'm not even cool. I'm just one of those girls that can do a lot of drugs and not die.
Mackenzie Shirilla posted that video herself on her public TikTok account, smiling, unbothered. To the outside world, she looked like a risk-taking teenager who hadn't yet learned the weight of consequences. But investigators would later argue that Mackenzie understood consequences better than anyone gave her credit for. She just didn't care about them. And that distinction between recklessness and intent would become the center of everything that followed. Mackenzie and Dominic had been together for 3 years. By the summer of 2022, she had moved into his family home. Close quarters, constant tension, and a relationship that had quietly become something dangerous. At school, Mackenzie had a reputation. According to Davon's mother, she made it her business to humiliate people. She once told students who were struggling with depression to take their own lives. That level of cruelty in a teenager is not a phase. It is a pattern. Now, this is what led to the incident. Mackenzie and Dominic were arguing inside her Toyota Camry on Interstate 71. Dominic called his mother. When she couldn't come, he called a friend. That friend was still on the line when Mackenzie made the threat. She didn't whisper it. She said it out loud. A friend rushed to the scene and found Dominic's door open. Mackenzie physically striking him. That threat was not new, and it would not be the last time she said it.
He observed at that time the defendant striking Dominic Russo with both hands, and that he overheard her make a statement, an admissible statement, and she said, "Dominic, I'm going to crash this car."
Let me key my car. Tell you to break the door.
I will keep your car if you do not let me in the house.
You're going to key my car.
If you don't let me in the house, yes.
In a separate incident that same month, Dominic recorded Mackenzie outside his home. She threatened to damage his car if he didn't let her in. She counted down. She issued ultimatums. When Dominic still didn't open the door, he called his mother. Again. That detail tells you everything about the dynamic inside this relationship. He was 19 years old, calling his mother for protection from his girlfriend.
2 weeks, same threat, different outcome. Here is what investigators would ask later. If she said she would crash the car on July 17th, and then on July 31st, the car crashed at 100 miles per hour. At what point does a threat become a plan?
5:30 a.m., July 31, 2022, a Toyota Camry struck a Strongsville building at 100 miles per hour. Dominic and Davon died at the scene. Mackenzie was airlifted unconscious. The community was devastated. It was shocking.
These kids are part of my heart. You lose one, and it hurts. It hurts till you cry.
It was shocking. We've known Davon for about 14 years. They've been neighbors of ours. We've watched him grow up from this little scrawny kid to this big muscular football player. And he was really like a third son for me. So it was devastating.
GoFundMe pages went up immediately. Memorial funds for Dominic and Davon. Medical support for Mackenzie. Everyone grieved together. Nobody questioned her yet. While the community mourned, Mackenzie was posting on Dominic's obituary page. "I miss your laugh, your perfect smile. God, you are the last person to deserve this. Please wait for me." The grief looked real. It felt real. And for weeks, everyone believed it. Then the police started receiving emails. Mackenzie and her mother had been contacting a Los Angeles modeling agency while she was still recovering in hospital, while two families were burying their sons.
Shortly after the crash, Strongsville police were notified that they had received concerning emails from the community that the defendant and her mother were seeking employment with the Los Angeles modeling agency. McKenzie Shirilla said to Vitali, "Thank you for the comment. I would love to work with you guys. I've been emailing you guys a lot. Such a great opportunity. Thank you."
Is there a date?
There is not a date on this, Your Honor. Based on the investigation, it was delivered to the police while the defendant was still in the Metro Health Hospital. So it was during that time period. She was in the hospital for several weeks.
Weeks later, she was photographed attending a concert, in a wheelchair, surrounded by friends. Then came Halloween, 3 months after the crash, dressed as a corpse, celebrating with friends dressed as drug references.
Shortly after being released from the hospital, the police were provided additional videos of the defendant from her wheelchair as she attended a concert down in the Flats. And again, Your Honor, I'm introducing these to the court to show the shocking lack of remorse. This was something that was being exhibited while the investigation was still going on, before she was charged and arrested in November of last year. And these were the sort of things that were coming to the police, and the shocking lack of remorse, coupled with the fact that the defendant was reported driving an automobile shortly after this event, that she was seen in Strongsville again driving a car. In spite of the fact that, as her mother testified, she got dizzy sometimes from a condition that she had to take salt pills for, in spite of the fact that it was in fact her mother who provided her with the car that she used to take Dominic and Davion's life.
5 days after Halloween, police charged her with double homicide, because by then, investigators had found something the community didn't know about. The surveillance footage told two completely different stories in under 60 seconds. First, Mackenzie turning carefully onto the street, signaling properly, controlled speed. Then, the same car, seconds later, at 100 miles per hour. The vehicle's black box confirmed what the footage suggested. According to court records, her right foot was pressed fully down on the accelerator. The brake pedal was never touched, not even at impact. Then investigators pulled her phone records. Days before the crash, Mackenzie had visited that exact location, alone. no passengers. Prosecutors argued she was not lost. She was not exploring. She was scouting. She chose that building. She chose that time. Early morning, no witnesses nearby. And according to the prosecution, she chose who would be in that car. Davon was never part of the plan. He just needed a ride home. The intent was clear. The computer data demonstrated no attempt to slow down or stop. It was full speed, into a building, and it cost 2 people their lives. Here is the question that prosecutors placed before the court. Is that an accident, or is that a decision? Mackenzie's defense had one argument. She was a teenager, impaired, overwhelmed, unable to stop a car spiraling out of control in a chaotic moment. Her attorneys pointed to her age, her drug use, her inexperience behind the wheel. The defense asked the court to consider panic, poor judgment, a tragedy, not a murder.
Is it just kids being kids? Is it Dominic grabbing the steering wheel? Is it Mackenzie maybe speeding and say, oh my God, dark out, it's light, I'm coming up to this, I better do something, and she goes like that to avoid an accident, not acting purposely, but in fact trying to avoid it? Is it sudden acceleration, panic?
The intent was obvious upon seeing that video that there was only one goal, and the computer demonstrated that there was no attempt to slow down or stop, that it was full speed into a building, and said tragically it cost 2 people their lives.
Mackenzie maintained she remembered nothing. She sent Dominic's mother a message stating, no memory, no intent, no murder, but the prosecution had Exhibit 802. This was a bench trial, no jury, 1 judge, and after reviewing every piece of evidence, including Exhibit 802, the crash video,
patient stated she, open quote, wanted to die, close quote, and that it was her fault for killing her boyfriend.
On stand was the doctor who took care of her while at the hospital, gave a statement in court. But fact still remains that she killed her boyfriend and his friend, even without thinking about it.
The judge delivered a statement that left the courtroom silent.
This trial is a culmination of decisions made by one person, the defendant. Those decisions have forever altered the futures of 3 families, and of you also, Mackenzie. And your decisions forever robbed Dominic and Davon of the futures that they had before them. If there is one thing that can be taken away from this case, as painful as it is this. Every decision we make is important. Every action we make is important. Regardless of whether the decision is a good one or a bad one, or the actions are good or not, the result is the same. The consequences ripple through time and affect many more people than one might think at the time of the decision. In criminal cases, the state carries the greatest burden under our law, proof beyond a reasonable doubt. As I previously stated, I considered all the evidence presented, and at this point I would like to comment specifically on Exhibit 802, the crash video. This is the type of evidence you can never unsee. You can never forget the visual or audio of this exhibit. It is chilling and tragic. As you review that exhibit, you know that you are watching the oncoming deaths of 2 people, and there is nothing that will stop it. The video clearly shows the purpose and intent of the defendant. She chose a course of death and destruction that day. Exhibit 802 crystallizes the deadly decision-making of the defendant. She morphs from a responsible driver to literal hell on wheels as she makes her way down the street. Mackenzie alone made the decision to drive the car, to drive an obscure route, a route she visited a few days before, and a route not routinely taken by her. Mackenzie alone chose the time to make the drive, early in the morning, when any reasonable person would expect that few people would be nearby to witness it or offer life-saving assistance. She made these decisions despite knowing, as any reasonable person would, that her mission of death could have involved others, not even in the car with her, other people, other cars, pedestrians. She had a mission, and she executed it with precision. The mission was death. Mackenzie alone decided to push the pedal to the floor and demand the ultimate speed of that vehicle to 90 to 100 miles per hour. She alone decided what was to be. Mackenzie decided death was the ultimate goal that day, and she alone made that decision for Dominic and Davon, and she continuously acted in a manner to achieve her purpose. Whether or not she intended to also kill herself is a matter of speculation. They have no relevance to the weighing of the evidence in this case. The totality of the evidence clearly demonstrates that Mackenzie Shirilla acted purposely and intentionally. In the early morning hours of July 31st, 2022, her purpose was to kill Dominic Russo and Davon Flanigan. No reasonable fact finder could view the totality of this evidence in this case and come to any other conclusion. Her actions were controlled, methodical, deliberate, intentional, and purposeful. This was not reckless driving. This was murder. Count 3, murder.
She was found guilty, just like you heard. But her mom decided she needed to intervene for her daughter.
I just want to say to the families that I'm broken, sad, and lost, and my heart hurts for everyone, okay? Davon was her new friend, and Dom was the love of her life, and he was part of our family, okay? I'm just so sorry that this happened, and we're heartbroken, okay? And then, Your Honor, this was a terrible, tragic nightmare accident to have happened that she has no memory of, and she will never emotionally or physically recover from it. She almost died too, and we're asking that you please not run the sentence as consecutive. He was family, and we all loved each other. That morning of the accident, she called, I got a phone call that there was a car accident, okay? So we went to the hospital, and I didn't even know who was in the car. The names had not been confirmed yet. And I'm gonna cry because I missed Dom so much. We loved him so much. So I called Dom, like over and over again, praying that he was gonna answer the phone, and he didn't answer the phone. So then I tried to call his mom, and she didn't answer the phone either. And I still didn't know who was in the car. I didn't even know if she was alive. I didn't know what was happening. So then we were in the waiting room. And then his mom she did call me, so I answered the phone, and I was like, oh my God, like, I don't even know who was in the car, like, what's happening, was that Dom? And she said, what do you mean, my son is dead? And I was like, I'm so sorry. And then she said something like, and now I have to wait until your kid's out of the hospital, and then I didn't hear the rest. I was like, we loved him so much, and I hung up the phone. I did not talk about social media. I didn't even know what was going on yet, okay? So then, that was it. So in the hospital, that Vitality post, I commented on that because somebody had called her a murderer, okay? And she's not a murderer, so she didn't even have her phone at that point because the police had still had it, okay? So I jumped on, and I was like, you know, she's not a murderer. She's more sad than most of these people commenting. She's been trying to get in touch with you. I mean, at that point, it was just an accident. So I commented on her behalf, not because of the modeling opportunity. Who cares about that? I don't want them to refer to her as a murderer, okay? And I don't even know how that comment got on the phone because the police still had her device, and she could not access her phone or social media. That's why I did it. I just wanted them to stop calling her a murderer so that when she did come to, and she did come out of surgery, multiple surgeries, that she wouldn't see all these people calling her a murderer because she would never, ever, ever murder.
The mother's concern was her daughter's reputation. Then she referred to Davon Flanigan as only a new friend. Like, does that give any reason for the incident?
And Dave, they all loved each other. They all spent every day together. You know what I mean? I don't know too much for him.
Isn't that part of the problem, Mrs. Shirilla?
Sorry?
Isn't that part of the problem, that they all trusted each other? Isn't that part of...
It's not a problem at all. It was wonderful.
It's a problem how they all ended up in the car together and two of them ended up dead.
I understand. I understand what it looks like. I'm saying that it was a tragic accident. She would never...
Well, we're going to have to disagree on that.
I understand.
Right. And I respect the position that you disagree with.
I understand. But anyway, that's it. I just wanted to address those. We told her to go to those things, and then she did go with Dom's family. So look at that. Don't look at it with the... Look on that with different eyes if you can, please.
Those things are not relevant.
Not at all. Not at all. No. Not at all. But she's a good, if you would have a moment, all you would need is 5 minutes of a conversation to have with her to learn who she is. Just that, you would just need 5 minutes to learn who she is and what she's capable of not doing and doing, and you would see for yourself. That's all. I'm so sorry, guys.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I love you.
I wish I could remember what happened. I'm just so sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Dom and Davon. We were all friends, and Dom was my soulmate. I wish I could take all your pain away.
She gave her statement and apologized, but that did not change the guilty verdict. Years' time. Some members of the family gave a word.
They're now sharing details of Mackenzie's life in prison and fighting to clear her name, even as prosecutors stand by the evidence that put her behind bars.
Oh my God.
In July 2022, a day that brought a mix of pain,
I struggled with this because
and guilt.
Because how can I feel bad that these two boys died and feel grief with these families and then be absolutely overjoyed that my kid is alive?
It's been almost 3 years since the deadly crash in Strongsville that killed Mackenzie Shirilla's boyfriend, Dominic Russo, and their friend, Davon Flanigan. Now, Shirilla's parents are speaking out, insisting that the justice system got it wrong.
Show me one piece of evidence, one, that says she did this on purpose. Show it to me. Here it is. That's it. Then she's right where she belongs, and she's guilty of it. But there isn't any.
State of mind.
Prosecutors argued that she intentionally drove into a building without ever hitting the brakes, with black box data showing the car sped up to 100 miles an hour. They also argued that 2 weeks before the crash, Shirilla allegedly threatened to crash her car during an argument with Russo. The court cited it as proof of premeditation.
And she said, Dominic, I'm going to crash this car.
But her parents maintain there's another explanation. A new legal team now arguing medical evidence the first trial missed, with a UH neurologist concluding that Shirilla suffered a medical episode at the time of the crash and a loss of consciousness, something prosecutors called speculative. Shirilla's latest court filing also includes text messages they claim flipped the narrative over who was threatening whom in the weeks before the crash, with texts from Russo purportedly saying, "I'm sorry."
There's no evidence what was going on in that car other than the information they gleaned from the black box information.
This was not reckless driving. This was murder.
In the 2023 bench trial, the judge found Shirilla guilty of murder and sentenced her to 15 years to life.
And these poor families think she did it intentionally, and she didn't. And and they don't know. There's information they didn't see. There's information they didn't have. There's information we didn't see or have.
Should she be in prison for murder?
No, absolutely not.
Should she be in prison for aggravated vehicular homicide?
I don't know about the aggravated part, because I don't think you can still say why was going on the car. Should she have been charged with reckless vehicular homicide, 2 counts? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Not if it was medical.
Today, Mackenzie Shirilla is now in an Ohio women's prison in Marysville, where her mom says they chat every day, whether by text from a tablet or by phone.
She does a lot of painting. She paints.
What kind of hopes, what kind of expectations do you have for Mackenzie's future?
That the truth will set her free. That's what I need to have happen. The truth, that there was no intent, that part, the truth will set her free.
The Ohio Supreme Court has already rejected her appeal of the verdict, and earlier this month, the lower court rejected Shirilla's petition for a new trial, which is now under appeal. Now, we do want to note that Shirilla's father is a former WKYC employee, not in the news department.
Here is what this case actually taught us. The signs were there, documented. A threat made on a highway 2 weeks before the crash. A pattern of control and humiliation inside the relationship. A boyfriend who kept calling his mother for help because he had no other way out. Nobody connected those dots until 2 people were dead. The first red flag was the language. When someone tells you they will hurt you, and then laughs it off, or you laugh it off, that is not drama, that is data. The second red flag was the control. Counting down at his front door, threatening his property, making every disagreement a crisis. Control rarely stays the same size, it grows. The third red flag was the isolation. Every argument happened inside a confined space, a car, a house, spaces where he could not easily leave. That is not coincidence. Dominic kept going back. And that is not weakness. That is what happens when someone has slowly convinced you that the relationship is the only thing keeping everything together. Davon never even had a choice. He just needed a ride home. So here is the question this case leaves behind. How many people in your life have made a threat and called it a joke? How many arguments have happened in spaces where leaving felt impossible? How many signs have you explained away because the love felt real? Because in this case, the love was real. And it still ended in a building at 100 miles per hour. If any part of this story felt familiar, please use the resources on your screen right now. You do not have to wait until something becomes a headline.
If you have watched this far, you already know this channel is different, because the pattern is what saves lives. If this case made you think, made you look differently at something in your own life or someone else's, then share this video, not for the views, because someone in your circle may need to see it right now and not even know it. Drop your answer in the comments. Do you believe Mackenzie Shirilla should be eligible for parole after 15 years? Or did the sentence fail Dominic and Davon completely? I read every single comment. If you're new here, like, share, and subscribe to this channel, as every case we cover has a lesson buried inside it. And some lessons are worth your full attention. Thank you for stopping by. This is brought to you by True Crime Verdict.